I did my informative speech on psychological issues that children go through during a divorce. Not all of the issues are psychological, but most of them are. In America, according to the article that I read and got a lot of really good information from, it's called Shocking Statistics About Children and Divorce. 25% of children older than the age of 18 go through a parent's divorce, and half of American children witness the breakup of their parents. That's half of America. Divorce can absolutely affect the child in the worst way possible, and it is very important to know the signs of psychological problems so that you can help them if needed, and you can help them get through a really hard time, because it's very extremely confusing to the child, especially them not understanding exactly what's going on. While it might be in the child's best interest, it can cause them to have psychological issues, behavior problems, the loss of interest in social activities, and start to have issues adapting to change. I've been extremely fascinated about this topic, especially I've been through this before. When I was 5, my parents got a divorce, and I feel like I can relate to this topic in a way. I don't have all of the psychological issues, and so yeah. And I've actually studied about this topic before. I did a paper on it, I think, in high school, and it was mostly just how divorce affects the child in many different ways, and I found a lot of good resources while doing that. First, I'll discuss the psychological issues that could be going on. After the parents divorce, children might start to have psychological issues like depression, anxiety, anger, loneliness, and etc. Depression in children can be very scary because you never know what they can do to themselves, especially when they're so young, and you don't want them really growing up that way, because then that just determines on how they're going to look at their future, and just, you don't want your child to be sad all the time. According to the behavioral issues in children after divorce, they stated children will not always have the emotional maturity to understand why separation is happening, and their frustration and stress may manifest in behavioral changes. When you get stressed out, you tend to do things on the spot in the moment and not think too much into them. It might not even take much of someone to just maybe even look at you wrong and you go off on them. That's talking about mostly the behavioral problems and the anger. You're confused, you're frustrated, and we all know how we get when we're confused and frustrated. Everything tends to just get on your nerves, and so that then causes behavioral issues. They tend to have a very short line, and they tend to just start going off on people. And the loss of interest in social activities. Kids mostly want to be left alone when they're upset about something, so they just tend to feel better alone, and they need their own space to be comfortable. And too much of that can really cause future issues with social interaction, and it can really cause them to have problems with getting along with people, and it goes back to the behavioral issues and just not fitting in exactly, and them causing them more stress because they don't know how to handle a situation. It makes them not even want to go out in public. And then it leads to them having issues adapting to change. According to the article that I read, What Are the Effects of Divorce on Children? They stated children can be affected by having to learn how to adapt to change more often and more frequently. And this can be hard for anybody if you if you're going through a hard time and trying to then adapt to change, and, especially if the change is causing you so much stress and you have just so many questions and you don't understand, you don't know the answers to them, it can be really hard to know exactly, okay, this change is good or this change is not good, or I need to do something different. It can really cause you to, just not exactly, you're very unsure of what's going to happen and you're scared of the future. Divorce causes that because, usually you don't see the divorce coming on. It just kind of happens, and it's, especially if you're young, you're confused as to why it's even happening. But in conclusion, everyone who has put their child through a divorce needs to understand there might be more going on through their head that you might think. You might think, oh, they'll be fine. They're young, they don't understand, but really it can cost so much more. And I think that's what people really need to realize and understand, that they need to be lookout for signs for the psychological issues that could be going on. Like I mentioned earlier, depression, anxiety, anger could all be really dangerous to all types of children. Divorce is a very sad and traumatizing thing for children. It's very hard to deal with. But with the right tools and effort, people can come out better in the end. It might be in the best interest for the child, because if they're always fighting, that's what the child then thinks love is and grows up very, very confused. Thank you.